Hello everyone, thanks again for the support in that last video. It was really cool, all the comments and stuff. I really appreciate the comments because there's going to be some things that I miss. Most of my videos are going to be sort of aimed at players who already kind of know Path of Exile, maybe have been playing it for a while, or just kind of like coming back to it. So I might miss some things or kind of glance over stuff that maybe like really new PoE players might not know. So if you do have questions, put them in the comment section. I'll reply to any of the questions down there, as long as it's reasonable. So I'm glad to have that second chance to clarify things for you. Today's video, though, is going to be about how exactly to capitalize on the economy of a starting league. So there are a few ways to make money in general in Path of Exile. You can get currency drops. You can use currency drops to craft valuable items that you can sell to other players. You can sell a service to players, whether it's bossing, your crafting bench, achievements, lab enchantments, betrayal stuff, so like the white sockets, or turning a rare amulet into a talisman, or temple stuff, like the double corruption. You can get valuable gear drops, whether that's uniques, high item level, good crafting base types, or just good rares in general. You can get map drops, or you can play the trading game. In today's video, though, we're going to be focusing on currency drops, map drops, valuable gear drops, and the trading game. I believe these are kind of the important ones you'll be able to capitalize, especially at the very start of the league, which is kind of what this video is going to be focused on. So with currency drops, at the very start of the league, you're going to be picking up everything. You want wisdoms, you want portals, you want every currency you can pick up. You should almost always be going back for currencies right at the start. You're going to need them for gems. You're going to need them for recipes. You're going to just need every currency. You at least need a few of everything. When you're almost done with the axe, though, you can pretty much stop picking up wisdoms. Probably stop picking up wisdoms maybe a little bit sooner than that. But it's always good to have a nice stockpile because you will need to identify a bunch of rares. You can stop picking up portals eventually, augments, and alts, unless you still need your flasks rolled. Alts are pretty good, but especially the wisdom portals and augments you can stop picking up pretty quickly. You still want to pick up transmutes and whetstones when convenient. So if they're in front of you, or obviously if they're right on top of you, you're going to be wanting to pick those up. But if they're behind you, don't backtrack for that stuff. You really don't need to. Transmutes and whetstones are good because they vendor for 4 wisdom scrolls. So it's way better than, picking up a wisdom, right? Because it's pretty much picking up 4 wisdoms. And a portal scroll is 3 wisdom scrolls, so it's kind of like a portal and a third, every transmute or whetstone. In late white or yellow maps, you kind of just got to get a feel for it, or, look at your stash and see how many you have. You should have enough alts, chromes, and etc. for what you need, like a base level, I would say, 20, 30, maybe 40 alts and chromes after your colors and after your sockets are all colored and whatnot, and after your flasks are rolled. You just want some others, because you will be upgrading your gear and you will need to recolor it. But then you can start kind of skipping those lower currencies. You can filter them out, or you can leave them and pick them up when they're really convenient. Just like the wisdoms, portals, and augments, you can kind of pick them up when they're on top of you, ignore them when they're behind you. You really want to get all the chance orbs you can, because those are going to be really, really helpful later on when you need to buy maps from Zana. As you progress through the Atlas, so during days 1 through 3, start to filter out those junk currencies, accept chances. So I'll eventually start filtering out anything below elks. So I won't be picking up alterations, I won't be picking up chromatics. I might pick up jewelers, but eventually I start to skip those and only go for 6 sockets, which sell for 7 jewelers, which is very nice. Now we're going to talk about map drops. And I will put a loot filter, just some starting out ones, in the description as well for you guys, and a link to a very good filter website. But now we're going to talk about Map drops, getting money from map drops. Maps are always very expensive at the league start because everybody, wants to play the end game of Path of Exile, and that's what maps are. You need maps to do everything. You're not going to be able to delve without maps. Maps are pretty much where all the fun is at in Path of Exile. So they're going to be very expensive because nobody has them. And if you're the first to get to, certain tiers of maps, or if you're among the first, you guys get to set the prices. Or I should say, we get to set the prices, right? You're going to run your white maps that you obtain from the axe and whatever else you get while running those. So you kind of just go through your white maps, whatever you get during those white maps. You're going to keep cycling those, and you just kind of like keep going until you run out of new maps to do, because you always want to be completing Atlas bonus as much as you can, because the more Atlas bonus you have, the higher the chance of a map dropping another tier above is, which is exactly what you want. Once you run out of maps to run like that, you want to buy maps from Zana with your chance orbs that you've been hopefully picking up, and then completing whatever maps you get from those purchased Zana ones. Then you're going to buy maps from other players while selling the lower tier ones you no longer need. So the league mechanic affecting the Atlas, so this is going to make things a little bit trickier. You kind of have to think a little bit differently than we normally would for league start Atlas strategies. So this new Atlas involves watchstones that upgrade all the tiers in an Atlas zone. You're going to want to make sure you're able to do a map that can drop the new upgraded tier of maps. So for example, if you find a Conqueror in like a tier 3 map or something, you get a watchstone, you probably don't want to be putting that watchstone in your Atlas right away. It's kind of counterintuitive, but if you only have tier 3 maps and everything gets upgraded to T6 or T7 or above, you won't be able to get those T6 or T7 map drops because everything can only drop one tier higher from normal monsters and 2 tier higher from the boss of the map. So you kind of have to like think a little bit before you put your watchstones in. The really cool thing about these watchstones though is that they will unlock hidden maps. So they'll be revealed on your Atlas once you socket 1, 2, 3, and 4 watchstones in these like little Atlas zones. I think, and I'm pretty sure, these maps are going to be a higher price than the others of the same tier. So you want to make sure you price these hidden maps accordingly. I think they're going to be a higher price because people are going to be completing certain sectors of their Atlas. And if they put a watchstone in another area, they have to try to run maps in that area or have a map pool to get that upgrade to that hidden map, or they'll be able to buy that hidden map and get that Atlas bonus right away if another player is already selling one of those hidden maps. So you want to make sure you price these higher than kind of normal maps of that tier. So if you have tier 5 maps that are selling for 2 chaos and a hidden map comes out and it's another tier 5 or something like that, maybe you want to sell it for 3 or 4 chaos. Who knows? You kind of just have to go by what other people are doing, or you get to set the price yourself if you get those hidden maps right away. Once you have a pretty decent pool of higher tier maps, so I would say like 5 to 10 higher tier maps, you want to be very, very aggressively selling your lower tier maps. The price of maps is going to go down, as the league goes on, right? So you want to make sure you don't really have any currency that's just sitting in your map tab, or if you don't have a map tab, in whatever other tab you have. Your goal on league start, so on day 1, day 2, day 3, you want to have all white maps completed, getting 100 plus Atlas bonus, and you want to have at least 1 quadrant fully upgraded to T14 and 16 maps. So why high red maps? Why is everyone focused on high red maps this league and bossing in general? It's because Shaper Guardian maps and Shaper Guardian maps are going to be through the Zana missions that are in high red tier maps. So the only way to get Shaper fragments is through a Zana mission that gives you a Shaper Guardian map. Elder Guardians and the Elder are going to be replacing map bosses of various Zana missions. So Shaper and Elder are the only can only be reached through Zana missions. Shaper and Elder are going to drop fragments for Uber Elder. So they're just adding many layers to getting Shaper and Elder. So finding a Zana in those really high tier maps is going to be so sick. You know, you get your Guardian map, the fragments are going to be so expensive. The Shaper Guardian gear is probably going to retain its value much longer than it has in previous leagues. So that's going to be sick. You know, it's just going to feel really good when you get that Zana mission in a higher tier map. So Shaper frags are going to be expensive. Shaper uniques are going to be super expensive. Dying Sun is going to be insane. Everyone's playing bows. Everyone's playing projectiles. Everyone is going to want Dying Sun. And Shaper is going to be much harder to get this league. So Dying Sun is going to be much more valuable. The 4 new Conquerors that drop the Support Gem Plus gems, they're going to most likely have a higher drop chance in a higher tier map. They normally reward, you know, people who play a more difficult version of maps with more rewards, right? Or they're only going to drop in like T14 to T16 maps. So you want to be getting to those high red tiers so you can get those super nice, super valuable Support Gem Plus gems. Higher level item bases, so just in general, your higher item level bases, higher splinters as well. So you're going to get more Chayulas, you're going to get more those valuable Legion splinters, you're going to get better currencies in sextants and essences, as well as higher unique map tiers dropping. It's going to be absolutely bonkers when people have T14 and T16 unique maps like Poor Joys or whatever, Sear Blade, whatever unique maps are in your zone. It's going to feel super good when you get that dropping. The focus this league is on 15 and 16 maps. These are going to be selling very well. That's also another reason why you want to be in these high red maps. They're going to sell well and quick, and they're going to be very expensive at the start because everybody wants to be getting those Support Gem Pluses, Shaper, Elder items, and the Uber Elder fragments. They're going to be wanting to get the new item bases at a high item level. That's really important because higher tier ranges, you know, for all the stats are going to be at those high item level bases. So everybody wants to get those new base types from high tier maps. The Metamorph bosses will have much greater rewards when they're created from higher tier bosses. You know, again, GGG is going to reward players for doing more difficult content. So you want to be doing that more difficult content if you can. You want to be maximizing your rewards. Even if you can't, even if you find a Shaper Guardian or Elder Guardian or, you know, whatever in your Zana missions, you can try selling that to another player if you can't do it on your own. And you should, because it's practically free money. You should maybe add some people, you know, put it in trade chat or something right away. You can add some people to your friends list, and I'm sure they'll be glad, you know, to take that for, I can't even imagine what it would be charged for, but, you know, it's practically free money for inviting a player and putting a portal down. You definitely should sell it if you're not going to be doing it on your own. The next way to get money is from valuable gear drops. So Unique items at the start of the league will have their prices tens of times or more higher than what they will on day 4+. A lot of people want specific unique drops, and some of them are the more common uniques, but common uniques, aren't going to be so common at the league start because nobody has them, and nobody's been running maps for thousands of hours where, these common uniques are flooded the market. So this low supply means a ton of money selling what are normally pretty lame uniques. You want to be price checking every reasonable unique and listing them even for just a few chaos. If you don't need the elk shards, you'll be surprised how many people buy like random rares, random uniques off of you. I once sold the double socket Stygian belt. I'm forgetting the name of it now, but I had that in a 50 chaos bio tab. For some reason, someone bought that off of me. It was like the freest 49 chaos trade I've ever had. Like you just gotta have these things listed. You never know what's gonna happen. Devato's Devotion, Queen of the Forest, movement speed, speed clear items like this, their prices are going to skyrocket since a lot of people want to play the new bow stuff. They're going to have a really high price tag. So the faster you can get to maps and higher maps, the faster you're clearing your maps, you're going to have a chance to get these. And, Devato's Devotion is going to be like an X or more. Queen of the Forest could be, like a 30 chaos drop right at the start, maybe even more. Who knows? We're just going to have to see. Drill neck and other unique bows, other projectile enhancing items, stuff like that, they're going to have a lot higher of a price tag than they do now or have in past leagues. So make sure you're checking the price of these and pricing them accordingly. You want to especially check rolls on stuff. So some tips for ending your night. It might seem obvious, and I've made this mistake before in previous leagues, but don't buy upgrades. It's really exciting getting an upgrade, but don't buy them before going to bed unless it's like an insane deal. Maybe you're like sniping some really cool rare, but you generally don't want to be upgrading, a half hour or something before bed, stuff like that. The prices for most items, I'm going to say like almost every item is going to go down overnight, and you'll have practically wasted your money. Obviously, it's not a catch-all rule. Devato's might go up in price overnight. It honestly probably will, because it's pretty nutty. You get boots on your head pretty much. But in general, it's kind of like driving a car out of the dealership. As soon as you take those keys, drive it home, go to bed, it's lost a ton of value. So now we're going to talk about the trading game. If you want to successfully trade, you absolutely need these things. There's no way around it. Like if you want to be super strategic and successful with your trading, you really, really need these things. You need to know how to use PoE Trade or the Path of Exile trading website. You need to know how to live search through these websites for specific items at specific prices with specific stats, links, sockets, or colors. You should really familiarize yourself with these if you haven't used them already. They're insanely helpful, and especially, you just absolutely need these if you're going to be playing the trading game in Path of Exile. You're not going to be going to the forums and searching through everyone's forum posts for items and whispering them. It's just way too inefficient when you have these websites that are doing all of that for you. You will need enough premium tabs or enough normal tabs with an additional program like Acquisition to list your items to the forums for you. Like I said, listing or searching for items manually is just not viable anymore. You're not going to be able to get away with it at all. Acquisition, you can set tabs to be a certain price. It's just a little program that'll read your stash tab for you. It takes like a minute to update or something. You just have to give it a second to read your stash tabs. But then it'll make a forum post for you. And that's super helpful if you don't have premium tabs, because, some people, you might not have too much money out there. You might have only bought some normal tabs, and that's okay. There's programs out there to help you. You will want to get Mercury Trade or an equivalent program. Personally, I use Mercury Trade. I just really like it. I've never had any problems. No reason to swap to something else unless you guys know something I don't. It's going to sort your incoming and your outgoing purchases, invites. You can kick people from the party with a button. You can trade people with one button. And it has built-in messaging. So I'll have something like, hey, 1 minute, I'm finishing a map. Or if someone gives me a bad offer on an item, I'll have a no thanks button. Stuff like that. Or a thank you for trading that you press, right before you kick them. But it's super helpful. It's an absolute need, right? It's sorting all of your stuff. You don't have to be like, hey, who is trading me this? Like, how much did I say for this? It tells you how much it is. It tells you who sent or who you sent the message to. It's just super, super helpful. You'll need PoE trade macro, or again, an equivalent. It'll set a button and give you an in-game overlay for the price listings of items. You have to be careful. Some people will obviously list an item at a price they don't intend to sell by. The macro is pretty good at removing a lot of spam filters. If someone has like 30 items listed for like one alteration or something when they're worth like 20 chaos, it just gets rid of those, which is super helpful. But you still have to be a little wary. And you really don't want to be posting items for like the minimum at the start of the league, because those have already probably been sold. So you just, 1 chaos more or whatever, or if it's not selling, you just go 1 chaos below. You just kind of gotta figure out whatever gets you the most trades. But PoE trade macro is really nice for checking prices without leaving. It can also check prices on rares. It's pretty good, I've found out from experience. It's always been getting better for a few leagues now in a row. I wouldn't trust it 100%, but it's pretty good at telling you if there's a lot of other rares that are at like a 20 plus chaos price range, or maybe you have some really good mods on your item and other people have listed items with those mods. It'll tell you what they've kind of listed. It's especially really good for like jewels, that you'd socket into your tree. It's really nice for that because those only have a few mods on them, like life damage, area of effect damage, stuff like that. It can give you a pretty decent price range for that stuff. Personally, I really like, and I have some weird Logitech mouse with, I'm one of those guys with like 12 buttons, and then I have a G shift function that lets each of these be control plus whatever I set it. So I just have one of these be alt tab enter, control V enter. So I'll click the whisper thing on PoE trade, press one button on my mouse, and then it sends it to the person. That's super helpful. It saves you a little bit of time, but that little bit of time could be the difference between you getting that first whisper in on a lot of items, because everyone has those live searches up. It's just whoever gets to it first. So this should help you out and help you get a lot of snipes off. I just want to ease everyone's mind. This is not against the PoE terms of service. It is doing, enter, control V, enter. That is, 3 inputs, but it's one server side action. So it is similar to like Mercury trade doing, like enter / hideout enter. That's what the Mercury trade hideout button does. When they do trade, invite, kick, or, message or whatever, it's the same thing. So they allow Mercury trade. They would allow this. Absolutely. And you can go ahead and read that forum post too, if you don't believe me. So you've kind of got to be a little ruthless when you're training people. I don't condone, and you really shouldn't be scamming people, but you do want to take advantage of them. Swapping a 5 link when you have a 6 link listed, that's bad. You're not a nice person. I really hope you stop playing this game if you do that. But buying an item that's worth 50 chaos for 40, that's good. Like, they didn't know the value of the item. It's all right. You gotta take that. You gotta have PoE trade or, the Path of Exile website. Sometimes the Path of Exile website is going to be updating faster on league start you kind of got to do your tests. If you feel like you're getting your whispers off of your live trades like really quickly, you might be using like the slower of the two websites if you're not getting any invites back. So you gotta just do a test, set a whoop up for the same item on each site and see which one comes up first. But yeah, you got to use this for live searching and sniping things. So let's say Devados is selling for 50 chaos. You create a live search for Devados that are posted at 40 chaos or lower. So there you go. It's an easy 10 chaos trade if anybody goofs up and posts their Devados a little too low, if you're able to whisper them first. You also want to be mindful of items with valuable rolls. This is just an example. I don't expect this to be the same in this league anymore. But Bones of Allure, one league, the movement speed roll on the low end was like, I don't know, let's just say it was 4 chaos for 5%. It goes up to like 15. That 15% movement speed roll sells for like 10 chaos plus. So, you know, it's like a 6 chaos trade every time. You've just got to set, you know, the modifier or whatever you're looking for. You know, increase movement speed, set the minimum to 15%, and then set the maximum price you want to be buying that at. And then you set up the live search, and you buy anybody who doesn't know that the movement speed roll is valuable. You just got to buy the Bones of Allure off of them. That's just an example. Maybe it'll be good this league, and I gave you a freebie. Otherwise, you've got to find these out on your own. I can't give away all the secrets. So, unfortunately, you have to spam players. I'm not talking about the same player. You'll get ignored. Nobody's going to sell you an item, you know, if you spam to the same person. But spamming to multiple people will be necessary, since more often than not, the first few people have already sold their items or do not intend on selling them. And you can't just like sit there waiting for people for a few minutes every time you want to buy an item. You know, if you do that, you're wasting like 2 maps worth of gear every time you want to buy an item. For maps and stuff, I'll whisper like the first 2 to 3 players, wait 10 to 15 seconds for an invite, or, you know, like a 1 minute please whisper, something like that. Then I'll whisper the next 3 until I get an invite. Obviously, you know, sometimes people are slow. Sometimes, you know, you'll get multiple party invites and stuff like that. You either have to say sorry to them, or you just have to like decline and move on. It's just an unfortunate reality of this game. If you want to be moving and grooving, making money fast, you know, you can't be waiting on people forever. Since this is kind of like a slower kind of trading system set up right now. Other players already know about this and do this. It's why there's the instant invite button and all those text options on Mercury Trade. Because if I get an invite, you know, I'm going to stop whispering people. So if you get a whisper for an item and you instantly invite them, they're not going to be whispering other people. You know, you don't wait until the map is done to invite the person or tell them to wait a minute. As soon as you get the message, you should be pressing that button, because it's kind of locking down that piece of gear being sold. If it's like a 1 or 2 chaos trade, maybe at the start, like the super start, when I'm really fiending for some chaos, I'll come out of the map right away. Other than that, I'll hit them with a 1 minute. I'll finish my map up, you know, even if it's not exactly a minute, with some items. But if it's like a really high ticket item, like, you know, I'm bouncing out of the map right away and I'm going to sell it to them, because I do not want to lose that trade. But, you know, if I'm losing, like, you know, an elk trade or a fusing trade, whatever it is, like a 1 chaos map trade, like, I can always trade another map later on, unless I really need the money. I'm going to wait until my map's done. You want to be making sure you update your map prices every hour or so, maybe even more, depending. But you want to remember to keep your hidden maps higher priced. You might even want to be taking them out of your map tab if you have one and putting them in a different premium tab. Just because normally I'll just list like all my tier 1s at a certain price, all my tier 2s at a certain price. And if you have your hidden maps in there, you're going to get a lot of whispers for them, I would imagine, because they're going to be a little more pricey than whatever the other maps are at. You really want to set up dump tabs. At the end of every map, you should pick up whatever rares you can from the boss quickly, and you should be picking up jewelry from mob drops for the chaos recipe. You should ID rares if you're in dire need of resists life or the 30 move speed boots. Otherwise, if you leave them unidentified, they'll chaos recipe for 2 chaos, which is really nice. You, even if they're ID'd, if they're unID'd, you know, I suppose you can dump them all, but you pretty much want to dump all extra rares and uniques into your tabs, and I'll talk about this in the next slide as well. Like I said, you can't imagine what people are going to be paying for, you know, some random unique. Maybe it has a really good roll. Maybe they just don't know how to buy items, and somehow they found your more overpriced, you know, random rare or random unique. Who knows? But you wanna have those opportunities to just get free money, pretty much. If you need to, you can vendor uniques to get alchemies. You know, you get elk shards from vendoring uniques. Or you should just probably buy alchemies. They're going to be 6-to-1, 8-to-1 chaos at the start of the league. It's pretty insane. You can just stock up on elks. You should be pretty much elking, like, you should elk every map, just about. It's always worth it. You know, as long as you have them, you should be elking your maps all of the time, even the white maps. Unless they're like, I don't know, really difficult, or I guess no, not even. Yeah, just elk your maps. Yeah. You may be whispered for a rare or a unique you feel is more valuable than what it was listed at. Maybe you're not really happy with the listed price. You kind of just got to suck it up and sell it, unless you're getting a bunch of whispers for it. It's probably not as valuable as you think. And you're gonna have like these items that'll just sit in your stash, and they're gonna rot in there. They're not gonna sell for anything, and you will end up vendoring them, and you'll get a lot less than the 2 chaos or something. Maybe you thought it was worth, you know, 10 chaos or something, and you didn't want to sell it for 5. Well, now it's worth nothing because it's day 2, and nobody needs, you know, tier 3 life and tier 3 resist rolls or whatever. But if you receive more than 1 whisper, and especially if you receive 3 or more, you definitely have underpriced your item. You should reprice it, or you should ask the buyers to pay more after you kind of figure out how much it is actually worth. This is where the PoE trade macro comes in. It's super easy. You know, press the button, you give it like 2 or 3 seconds, it comes up with a list. It'll tell you kind of what your item's worth. And if you don't mind the chaos recipe, it's super helpful at the start of the league when you need a few chaos for whatever. You know, maybe you need to get just 1 more humility card. You just do a chaos recipe, and there you go. You've got your extra humility. Now you've got your tabula. You're moving and grooving. I really recommend, you know, at least just having dump tabs with rares in them, just in case you need that extra chaos for something. You never know. So, setting your tabs up. If you have a lot of premium tabs, it's super easy. You just set the default price as 2 to 5 chaos, something like that at the start. You know, because not everyone's balling. You're not going to be able to get away with like 10 or 50 chaos for random items. You know, you want to be at least a little conservative with it, because nobody really has chaos. And once the tab fills up, you bring a new dump tab over, and you lower the price of your old one, and you keep doing that. So if I have, you know, 1 dump tab filled at 5 chaos, I'll bring a new empty one over. I'll put that 5 chaos one down to 4. If that other one gets filled up, now I take that 4 chaos tab and go down to like 3 or 2. And then, you know, you just keep doing that, and they keep getting lower until, you know, I generally don't put things really much lower than a chaos or a fusing. You know, like trading in, I guess alchemies is pretty decent, but don't ever sell things for like a chrome or like an alteration. Like, it's just really not worth your time. Like, it's insane. I see people selling stuff for alts or chromes and stuff like that. You really don't want to be wasting your time with that. If you have a lot of normal tabs, this is where acquisition comes in handy. You can set the default price tabs. The default price for, you know, a certain tab at whatever. So again, like 2 to 5 chaos or something. And then when you put those items in, an acquisition reads it and makes the forum post for you. It's very, very nice. If you're kind of living that poverty life and you don't have any premium tabs. Again, you know, you just got to cycle your tabs. Once one fills up, you got to lower the price on it. If you have the 4 default tabs, I'm sorry, and good luck. That's about it. So now we're to currency trading. It can be a great moneymaker, but low volume, high frequency trading is really tedious. You don't want to be, you know, doing 1 chaos to whatever trades, because you can get a ton of them, but the margins are like super, super small. And it's like super, super tedious. It's really stressful because, you know, it's bopping, bopping, bopping. People are coming in. You know, you've got to be quick. You've got to be efficient with your trades. You've got to make sure you're counting correctly too. It's just like, it's pretty stressful and you don't really get that much out of it. Your character's not progressing. Your Alice isn't progressing. You're kind of just setting yourself back. But if you do have some extra currency, I definitely recommend at least day 1, 2. You buy Alex Chisels, Fusing Jewelers, and Val Orbs. They're super, super underpriced because everybody wants to get chaos. So, you know, people are willing to sell alchemies for like insane prices. I feel like day 1 I bought like Fusings 8 to 1. It's like absolutely insane what you can get away with. You know, Vols 4 or 3 to 1. Like, it's just bonkers. And then, you know, you just resell them a few days later for 3 times the returns. Or you get even more value by using them on your maps for even more returns. Before getting off for the night, try to buy as many exalts as you can. The price is always going to rise a whole ton. You know, day 1, Blight exalts, 30 chaos. Day 2, 50 chaos. Day 3, 70 plus. You know, they're rising super, super high. And it's slow. But, you know, when you're sleeping for however many hours, you know, that slow rise really adds up over time. And it'd be nice to log in and, you know, you got a free 10 chaos or something. You know, it's extra money for doing 1 trade. You might as well be doing it. I don't think normal exalts are going to be like super cheap or something. Unless the new exalts are dropping like extremely often or, you know, something like that. Like, it would have to be super extreme for exalts to not have their prices rising really high in the first few days. So bulk currency trading. If you have a large amount of exalts, so like 3 or more, or, you know, you have a ton of chaos, you can flip them by having bulk buy and sell orders. So, for example, if 3 exalts sell for 300 chaos, you want to buy, you want to have a PoE trade, you know, you go to manage shop and you can set up buy and sell orders. So you want to set up a buy order for like 297 chaos and a sell order for 300 chaos. So it's, you know, 3 chaos trade every time. Or it can be something like selling 50 chaos for 500 chromes. And then buying 45 chaos for 450 chromes. It's like a 50 chrome trade every time, which is super nice. You do have to keep an eye on changing prices and be mindful of when your buy and sell orders are slowing or picking up in pace. If you want to be very, very safe, you only take buy and sell orders at the same time. So someone whispers to buy your 3 exalts for 300 chaos, and someone also whispers you to sell their 3 exalts for 297 chaos. So you just do both of those trades. You know, both people are in your hideout. They have no idea what's going on. But, you know, you're the middleman. You get an extra 3 chaos out of it. It's really, really nice. It's free money. All right. So some bonus material. You should be using and checking this website for what items and builds are meta, and that would be poe.ninja. There's a builds tab. You can see the percentage of, you know, a certain level range of how many ascendancies there are, or how many people are using a certain skill, how many people are using certain items. It's super helpful to kind of get a grasp on the meta and what items you should be watching out for when you're trading. If you want to have boss profits updating regularly, there's a sheet. It was made by someone else. I'm sorry if it was you that made this, and I can't give you credit. I just don't remember where I got it. I went back and searched for like sheets I had recently looked at, and like this was one that came up a year ago. But it's really cool. It takes the poe.ninja API for all of the prices of items, and if you go to that last tab on data, it'll actually have the prices for all the items. So if you're like an Exile god, or if you just mess around and kind of have some fun with it, figure this thing out, you can set stuff up like you can figure out the price of the base prophecy item, the prophecy to upgrade that item, and then what the upgraded prophecy item costs. And maybe it's profitable to, you know, equip the whatever gloves, you know, pop the prophecy and go kill some random thing. You might get like 10 casts out of it every time you do that. It's just really good. But you know, you kind of gotta, you gotta set that up on your own. But there's other stuff you can do too, you know, because the whole API is there. You just need to pull whatever items you want from it and do, you know, X minus X, or, you know, whatever you're adding together. Just have some fun with it, really. It's a pretty cool kind of thing you can do to get that extra little squeeze of money out. If you don't have time, you know, this is a really long video. It's kind of in depth. I feel maybe I ramble sometimes. And maybe, I hope, you know, everyone didn't already know all this stuff. I hope some of it was at least useful. But the too long didn't watch, too long didn't read version, in maps, you want to filter low currencies out, pick high currencies up. You want to progress your atlas quick. Make sure to have maps ready to run to get the leveled up map drops. High red maps will make you the most money from bosses, bases, and support gem pluses. Uniques will have insane value on the start because nobody else has them yet. You need PoE trade, Path of Exile trading, acquisition, Mercury trade, PoE trade macro, and poe.ninja. And I have that cool little Google Docs spreadsheet thing linked in there as well. You want to set up live searches to take advantage of players with mistaken prices. You want to have a dump tab for rares and uniques into at least 5 chaos. Reduce the price when full, and repeat. Do the chaos recipe when you need. And only currency trade in bulk. Buy Elks, Chisels, Vowels, Fuse, Jewelers, day 1, cheap. Alright. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to sub for more high quality, no spam content. And don't forget, tomorrow is patch notes. It's going to be sick. We finally get to figure out if minions will be nerfed, and whether at least my plans, and probably a lot of others, are going to be tanked, or if we're going to be good for a whole nother league of free, easy minion mapping. If you want, you know, feel free to tune in. I'll probably be live, you know, most of the day, kind of just waiting for patch notes. So if patch notes come out, you want to get some more opinions, and you know, I'd love to hear your guys' opinions, and I'd love to share my own about the patch notes. And if minions do get nerfed, we will have to talk about what we're going to have to do. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but I'll catch you guys later.